You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, July 13th. Thank you guys for joining us wherever you are or however you are watching the show. We greatly appreciate it. It is a Monday, so hopefully you're off to a great start to your week. Hopefully you've decided to let us help you through your week, let you get a good start to your week. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Thank you for that. Make sure you're subscribing. If you are subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do so ASAP. It helps us out a bunch. So like, subscribe, all those kind of things. Comment. Up over 1,700 subscribers. We love that. We want to work our way. 2,000 is where we're going to get before football season officially gets rocking and rolling. So make sure you tell a friend or two or 10 about what we're doing each and every day right here at 10 a.m. We're also live on X. X has been very, very good to us as always. We're also streaming on the WHO Plus app. The first hour of the show there every single day. You're going to enjoy today's show. A lot of Central Iowa themes, if that makes any sense. We're going to talk Hawkeyes and Cyclones coming up here in the first hour of the show. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. Our viewers in Central Iowa have been very, very good to us as well. So thank you for that as well. We're also on all of the podcasting platforms as well. So wherever you get your podcasts, go to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, whether it be Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. Put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, and you can listen to the show each and every day as well. So I encourage that, especially with my first guest, who we'll talk about in just a second, and myself. Nothing to look at, so hopefully maybe you guys listen later on today as well. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. Our weekend here at the Randazzo household was going to be hectic already. My wife and one of my sons were in Indiana for last baseball, big weekend of the season. So we knew we had to hold down the fort here at home with 3 boys and one working and other 2 playing baseball. And unfortunately Friday during the show, and nobody really notices this, but right before the show starts, my 11-year-old Chase comes upstairs and says, "Hey Dad, I don't feel good. My stomach hurts." So, which as a dad, you're like, all right, well, nothing I can do right now. Go lay down. Hopefully you feel better. I did mention I had my appendix out when I was in 3rd grade, and mine ruptured. So it was a gross, nasty thing. I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. So that's always in the back of my mind. Like appendix with these boys, I always got to, think of that. So anyways, Friday goes on. He's sick, but Friday night he feels better, but the pain moves to his side. And I hated that, but he felt okay except for the pain. He's like, "Dad, he ate, Hungry Hobo sandwich on Friday night was perfect for him." Thanks to Hungry Hobo for the support of the show. And we thought, okay, go to bed, you'll be fine. But appendix still in the back of my mind. I called the on-call doctor, and they said, yeah, test it. Didn't seem like it, but keep an eye on it. Well, Saturday woke up, felt great, still had that pain, but it was in the side. But felt good. So went to his brother's baseball game. We went to go play catch just to see. He had a baseball game that night. Hey, how's everything feeling? And couldn't throw a baseball. And then started leaning. And I said, I don't love this. So long story short, we end up at urgent care. They send us to the emergency room on 7th Street. Yes, it's appendicitis. That's the pediatric care is over in Bettendorf. So the ambulance ride over there, and eventually Sunday morning, had his appendix taken out. So a long weekend, spent the entire weekend with him, of course. Thank you to in-laws, and my wife came back and everything. So crazy weekend for us, but good news is Chase is doing good. It's amazing what they do with medicine. The medical people here in the Quad Cities, and I think everywhere in general, are just awesome, awesome people. So we have nothing but great things to say. But I mean, yes, I'm old, and 3rd grade for me was nearly 40 years ago. God, that's ridiculous to think. But it's just, because by yesterday afternoon, he had surgery in the morning. By yesterday afternoon, he stopped by and watched his brother play for a little bit of baseball before we got him home and got him resting again. So anyways, crazy weekend for us. Didn't expect a appendix attack on Friday when we started the show. Right before the show, he's like, "Dad, I don't feel good." So Chase is a trooper. All is good. And we're catching up here on a Monday right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Big show today. A lot to get to. Our good friend Tom Kakert spent the last 3-4 days out in Vegas watching several Iowa targets, talking to a lot of people out there. Ben McCullum was out there. Coaches were out there. Cayden Daughtry is a point guard that Iowa really wants, and he's playing really good basketball. Other schools are starting to really want him as well. But Iowa seems to be in the lead. We're going to talk to Tom Kakert about all that and get his thoughts from Vegas coming up in a matter of moments right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Also coming up in hour number 1, later in hour number 1, Friday's news, besides Chase getting appendicitis, was also Iowa State's athletic director, Jamie Pollard, announcing that he is going to retire in June. So Bill Seals from the Cyclone Report will join us here later in hour number 1 of the show to talk about that news, what it means, where everything's going to go from here. A lot of good stuff with Bill Seals from the Cyclone Report coming up a little bit later on in hour number 1 of the show. Hour number 2, we're going to catch up with our good friend John Marx and talk about a couple different things. On Friday, I had a little Randazzo's rants about the Brett Harris situation. Western Dubuque baseball standout, now heading to Iowa, had his scholarship rescinded. is probably the best way to put it, from Mississippi recently. So we'll talk about that and a bunch of other stuff with John Marx coming up later on in hour number 2 of the show as well. A lot to get to. Before we get to Tommy, some news and notes, and a guy that Tommy and I know very well. Congratulations to Zach Johnson. He's been playing amazing golf. Of course, last weekend here at the John Deere Classic, top 10 finish here in the Quad Cities on the PGA Tour. Zach on the Champions Tour right now has been great. Going into this weekend, he was 8 starts on the Champions Tour, 8 top 10s, 2 victories. Well, he won his first major yesterday, winning the colleague company's championship. So doing it in impressive fashion, chipping in on 18 to win it in style. So along with that comes a spot in the 2027 Players Championship. But his first major on the Seniors Tour, the Champions Tour. So congratulations to Zach Johnson. Obviously winning earlier this season, earlier this month, maybe probably in June, but winning in Des Moines at the Principal, and then coming here to the John Deere Classic, top 10 finish here, and then now a champion on the once again his first major on the Champions Tour. So congratulations to Zach once again. Great to see him here in the Quad Cities last week, and great that he decided to come to the Quad Cities, because Zach, it's weird watching Zach play on the Champions Tour, because I think he can still play really, really good golf every week on the PGA Tour. Yes, he's 50, but he's in great shape. He talked a lot about his workout routines and taking care of his body when he was in the Quad Cities. So congrats to Zach once again. Great to see that as well. Well, from Zach Johnson to Iowa basketball, there's no better segue, because Zach loves Iowa basketball, and Tom Kakert spent some time out in Vegas and comes back with a lot of information. So back in one piece from Sin City himself is Mr. Sin City himself, Tom Kakert. How many times did you get arrested?
0.
That's no fun.
Yeah. Pretty quiet. Went to In-N-Out Burger, had my first went to the big In-N-Out Burger, new one that they have there. So it was great.
So you got a good burger and awful fries, an overrated burger and awful fries.
That was good.
It's a good burger. It is a good, but their fries are garbage. It's okay to admit.
No, it was delicious.
Do you get them animal style or whatever it is?
No, just eat them away. It was good.
All right.
Good meal. Good meal. Got to see our friend Scott Doctorman out there. Scott and I were both out there.
No way.
Yeah, because Doc was out there. He was out there for the Athletic, had a little they call it offsite, I think. And so Doc and I got to have beverages, and one night, a couple
Did you know he was there, or were you like walking down the strip and all of a sudden you're like, Doc, how are you?
No, I was listening to, it's so funny. I was listening to a podcast from The Athletic, and they were talking about having their thing out in Vegas this week. And I was like, so I text Doc and I'm like, are you out here? And he's like, yeah. And I remembered we had maybe talked about it or something. So, and our hotels were close to each other. So we got a beer and hung out, and
look at that.
Yeah, it was good. It was awesome.
That's good stuff. I think you had a less frantic weekend than I did. Stupid chases. I got to see. This is ridiculous. Do you have your appendix?
No.
I was gonna say, you seem like a guy who went through appendicitis. How old were you?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well, you can't remember a lot of things, can you, old man?
No, I don't remember a lot of things. I don't remember what I did yesterday. Stop. Oh, I do remember. I flew yesterday.
Stop. But it was young. You were young, right?
I can't remember. I don't even remember.
Jeez. Did everything good with the flight? All that kind of things? Vegas was Vegas. Did you win any money?
Yeah. Yeah, I won some money. It was good. Didn't really spend a lot of time in the casinos. I was at the Nike EYBL thing, which spent most of my day there, and then over at Summer League on Friday night to see Bennett and Peyton Sandfort and Josh Dix and get to talk to those guys and catch up a little bit. Got to meet some different people. It was wild. They have to keep. Nike has to keep this weekend or this week thing in Vegas right around Summer League, because it's just like it's basketball nirvana. Yeah. It's like you've got. I swear, I was talking to one of my buddies at over because the Nike event was over at the Las Vegas Convention Center, which is massive, just massive place, and they literally have 22 courts in this one building. It's one hall. Ridiculous. It's insane. But we were talking and we were like looking around and we go, I think there's more NBA people in here than there are college coaches, because college coaches could be there. It was probably
most
NBA
famous
people.
Dude you saw? Who's the most famous guy you saw?
Ben McCollum.
Besides
no,
Ben.
I'm kidding.
Like who were you by?
KD, Kevin Durant.
Okay.
One of the first guys I saw. My favorite moment was looking over in day. I think it was day one. The coaches could be there. I walked in the building and I saw Ben and I saw Josh Sash. We're both sitting watching a 28 kid that they had just offered, big kid from Pennsylvania. And I look over and I took a picture of him, and then I look over again and I'm like, holy cow, Ben's sitting right next to Carmelo Anthony.
That's the one I was thinking of. Why not?
And Kenny Anderson is sitting right next to Carmelo. And then I look over, and for like a half hour, Ben and Carmelo are just chopping it up, just talking. And I didn't even ask Ben what they were talking about yet, but I will.
Yeah,
I will. But they were laughing and just kind of, I think, talking some ball and different things. So, but it's wild to think, a couple of years ago, Ben McCollum was recruiting for Northwest Missouri State, and he's probably not even in these gyms. At the Nike event, but they got to keep the Nike event with the Summer League. I mean, this is just kind of the perfect marriage. I'm going to tell some of my buddies with the Adidas stuff that they need to get out there that same weekend, because the last time I was out there for AAU was when Joe Wieskamp was playing.
Oh wow!
That was the last time, because they have not been, Nike hasn't been out there since 2019, I think, was maybe the last time Nike was out there. But yeah, I remember seeing, it was Joe and AJ Green and Joey Hauser, that team with the Barnstormers was out there. That was my LeVar Ball. That was the summer of ball with LaMelo and all those guys.
God damn, that was a while ago.
There was this crazy game. I think it was on a Friday night. It's the wildest AAU thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And it was the Big Baller team with LeVar around there and playing against Zion Williamson, who was going into his senior year of high school. And the seating was probably good for about 1,500 people, and there were probably about 5,000 people standing on chairs, and it was wild. And the basketball wasn't very good. Zion's stepdad was coaching Holden, a toddler. It was the most bizarre thing. And then the next morning, I went to see some games, and the Big Ballers were playing again, and that's the game where LeVar went off on a female official and pulled his team off the court and left.
That. Jeez. And that's the last time you were out there?
That was the last time I was out there for AAU, because they've just kind of pulled up stakes and they haven't been out there forever.
Yeah. Are they back next year? Or you don't know yet.
Oh, I would guess that this went over
Are you
so
back
well.
next year?
Oh, 100%.
You're in. I'm going with you next year. We'll do off the air from Vegas next year for 3 days. I'm in.
All ears from the Fontainebleau or the Cosmo.
Wherever my wife decides to let me stay, I'm in. Okay, so let's talk some basketball. I have, and you already in this camp. I'm officially like obsessed with Iowa getting Cayden Daughtry. And obviously he had a fantastic weekend. Or fantastic
I could tell you are.
Yeah, well, like, not that you didn't sell me on it before, and you'd seen him play in the past.
Yes, I saw him play 3 games in Kansas City.
I guess tell people what you saw from him this week. Where are things at? Things you've rumblings, what you've heard. Give us the Cayden Daughtry lowdown. What was he eating between games? Does he what's his favorite candy bar? Whatever it is. What'd you learn this week, if you learned anything?
It's interesting because I would think that a guy at his level would have like more college coaches kind of sitting around his court and notable coaches and things like that. But it's like, Dan Hurley was there for a little bit, but then he bounced to another court. He wasn't really sticking around. Didn't see any Michigan guys there. I think Todd Golden might have been there, but I'm not positive. They just don't seem to be engaged with him that much. Just other coaches. It's like Iowa's front and center, and everybody that I've talked to, just different people that you meet or that and you just kind of like, hey, you hearing anything on Daughtry? It's like, oh, Iowa. It's the first thing they say is like, hey, I think y'all are getting him, and or it seems like he's leaning that direction. And I'm just sort of like, pump the brakes, and there's always the Iowa fans right now are just in this I don't want to believe it until it happens kind of mentality, because Lucy has pulled the football away from them more than once with point guards in the Fran era. But Ben was, front and center. So that first day that the coaches could be there, Bennett shows up. Bennett Sturts is out there staying at a hotel that's right next to the convention center. So he just basically has to walk across the street, and he wanted to see the kid play. And, he's talked to the kid before. He's talked to Cayden. So just kind of on the phone, like he'll call one of the coaches and he'll say, oh, are you talking to Cayden? Let me shout him. Let me shout at him. And he's telling, come to Iowa. And I talked to Bennett on Friday night about it, because I'm like, it feels like you kind of almost got an obligation, that you feel like you've got an obligation. And he's like, oh, I want Iowa to be successful. And this kid's really good. I asked him for his evaluation, and he goes, boy, he's terrific. He can really play, push the ball, the whole deal. He's sold on him. And, it's obvious that Ben is sold on him. So we'll see what happens. The assessment from a lot of the national people is Iowa's in the lead, but Iowa's got to hang on. And he doesn't have any other visits set up. He's got one visit, and that's to Iowa on the Iowa State weekend. So I talked to him about that, and he's like, yeah, I haven't set any other visits up. He said he's going to narrow his list after Peach Jam, which is next week. And his team is really good. And they are not the most talented team, but he makes them the best team. They had one. So the EYBL is a series of events, or they start out, I think, in Atlanta, and then they went to Memphis, and then Kansas City, and then Vegas. So they've had 4 stops. They usually play 3 or 4 games at each stop. And they had lost their first game of the year by 2 points. Then they had run off 13 straight wins.
Ooh.
So, and this is a highly competitive league. I mean, the next to last game I saw him play was against CJ Rosser and King Gibson. Rosser's probably, arguably, the number one player in the class. 6'9" kid who's really talented, very skilled. Just he's kind of lanky, but boy, he can play. And like Brad Stevens was watching him play. This from the Celtics. So it tells you there's NBA people around the court watching him play against Daughtry. And they came back and won that game, I think, comfortably. And it's just impressive how he plays, how he controls the game. Never seems like he's out of control, but always pushing it, head up. He's a really good 3-point shooter, handles it really well, makes great decisions, just always in control. And he's slight of frame, but Cayden will go to the bucket and he'll take his body into somebody and just has this innate body control where he can still get the shot off against bigger guys and finish those plays, even though he's not like built like a tank. He's probably 6 foot tall. Same height as me, and but he's just the ease with which he plays the game of basketball just draws you in. He's got, as the kids would say, he's almost got like kind of an aura about him that he just makes everybody on the court better, and he's fun to watch. And he's the type of guard that if you get him, he's day one, hand him the keys of the car and let him go. He's that good.
Mm-hmm. Tom Kakert joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Obviously, he was, and you did nothing to help my addiction. By the way, that last 4 or 5 minutes, it did nothing but stoke the fires even more. I know you weren't the same place, and I'm forgetting his name. The other recruit for 2027 that's already committed.
Keller Daughtry. Yeah,
Keller Daughtry. He wasn't where you were at, but I know he had a really good weekend as well. From what you saw, obviously Coach Sash was out there, Ben McCullum was out there. Where were their eyes focused besides just Cayden Daughtry?
They're also watching those other point guards that they're still recruiting very heavily. I mean, Jackson Davis is supposed to come in the weekend after Cayden comes in, and Jackson's still very, very much interested in Iowa. Tom Izzo just offered him, and Izzo was watching Jackson Davis, who plays for the Mean Streets team out of Chicago. He's going to go to a prep school, but and they're also watching TJ Jamison, the point guard who visited in June and got to visit with both those guys. And TJ has a bunch of visits scheduled for later for during the fall, and wants to take a bunch of visits. And Jackson Davis said he wants to take a bunch of visits. But it's interesting that they haven't scheduled any other visits. Well, I shouldn't say TJ has, but Jackson hasn't. He's just got the Iowa visit. So we'll see what happens. This early September is just going to be fascinating to see if they can get Daughtry done that weekend. It would be something. But I'm not putting carts before horses. Want to see if he schedules other visits. We'll get a better picture of what schools he's really considering still after Peach. And he puts out a top 5 or whatever it's going to be. I did see Miami watching him, and they're, he's a Florida kid, so they are obviously going to be interested in him. But the other thing that was interesting with them is talking to Bennett, because I talked to Cayden after his game on Friday, and So Bennett was sitting over watching. So Ben McCollum's son was playing in this tournament too, but they're playing in a different level. It's the EYCL, and he's in the 17s. Tate is, and Tate's a bucket, man. He can shoot. I just kept seeing him rain in threes, but he's, probably 5'8". Got a Montana State offer. He's probably going to get some more offers because he played really well. I watched him play a little bit of 3 games during the time I was there. And somehow Cayden saw Bennett and went over and talked to him and just asked him a bunch of questions. And Bennett said, I gave him answers, gave him all the answers. And, he wanted to know what it was like playing for McCollum and know what it's like playing at Iowa and everything. And Bennett's almost like he feels like he's got an obligation to help him get this kid. And if he can, but he loves Coach McCollum and he loves Iowa basketball and he wants him to be successful. And that's really what that was all about, was just trying to help him. And if the kid's going to ask him questions, he's going to be honest with him and tell him what it's like and how it helped him. It's pretty cool.
I want to wrap up the Cayden Daughtry segment of the show by, can we go old school? And you might yell at me, but
I'm not going to make any comps.
Can I get a percentage? Can I get a percentage? Like, you're the weather guy, and it's like 70% chance of rain, or what, a 35% chance of rain. What's the chance? I have to
update our hot board, and I may do that this week. So you'll have to wait.
That's a good tease. Would it be over
after
50%?
the break?
We'll
be right back.
What is it right now? What is it right now? What was it before you? Before?
I can't remember. I haven't updated it.
All right, go to HawkeyeReport.com and check out.
It might be like 20% or something, but it will be much higher than that.
Who else? When we're recruiting, who else? You mentioned the other point guards in 2027. Were there any 28 kids that he was keeping an eye on, or their staff was keeping an eye on that was playing out there as well?
Yeah, Logan, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Chestwick, who is 6'9" forward from Pennsylvania, and I think he's probably going to visit this fall. But he's really he's an interesting big kid, runs the floor, shoots, has a nice touch, kind of a stretchy 4-man, I think. And he's going to have to get stronger around the rim, but I thought he was really impressive with what he did. Villanova's real involved with him, Syracuse, some of the East Coast schools as a Pennsylvania kid. So, they're involved with him. Also, Bentley Luscunu, I think is how you say his name. He plays for Chris Paul's team, the 16U CP3 team that Chris Paul Jr. plays on, which makes me feel really old.
Jeez.
CP3's kid is playing some AAU in front of me, but that kid's probably going to be out of Iowa's range. He is really good. There was a Duke assistant watching him play and sending out texts after he made this block at the rim. I was like, whoa. And I looked over and I saw the Duke assistant probably texting John Shire telling him, hey, we need to offer this kid. So, he's really, really good and very talented. So he's probably going to be a top 10 kid in his class, I think. So just another name to watch.
Tom Kakert joining us Off the Air with Matt Randazzo from the Hawkeye Report. On Thursday, people missed it. Mark Woodley from KWWL and then Maddie Herzig from the Gazette joined us to talk about open practice on last Monday or Wednesday. I know Kyle was there. Dennis was there for the Hawkeye Report. They do it again, I think, this Wednesday. I'm assuming you'll probably be there this Wednesday.
I'll be there.
You weren't there this Wednesday, so I can't say, hey, Tom, what did you see? There's plenty of great stuff. Kyle was there and everything like that. But I feel like you've also learned over the last week some things about Iowa basketball. May have learned more from not being in Iowa City than some learned in Iowa City. Who knows? What are the
Probably.
what are the? Can you share some rumblings that you may have heard when it comes to this year's Iowa basketball program?
Well, a frequent guest of this here show, the All Ears show, has really been their best player since the end of last season.
My guy Coop,
Tate also guest on All Ears.
Yes.
Yeah, he's also been on here. Yeah, they've been really good. I think they're really happy with Tyreek Coleman and what he's going to bring. Yeah, there's some buzz about Ethan Harris. That there are times when he looks like a kid who just showed up on the college campus, but there's more days where he's like, whoa, okay, this kid's really good. So maybe he's going to be like this year's Tate Sage, the guy who comes in and can really play. And Trey Thompson's done well. He's still working on the defensive end, but offensively, he's shooting it great, playing really well. McKeever's giving them what they thought. We might see some Twin Towers maybe this year. Him and Trevin Urach out there together, because Trev can step out and shoot a little bit and both of those guys handle the ball pretty well, just in terms of passing it and making good decisions with the ball. So we'll see. But yeah, they like what they see from this team so far. Now, see what they can do during the season, but they really don't think that there's going to be any step back from this team. You got to find that who's going to take the shot late in the game guy, but they just love what this team's showing so far.
Tom, it's funny because I want to say what football game it was. I can't remember, but Ethan Harris committed on a football game. I remember it was before an Iowa football game, and everybody's in the press box with like, hey, the Harris kid committed. He's really good. And then we've kind of forgotten about him. Like, it was cool. I mean, it was a good get. And that's the way it is with college basketball. Tom, I would say, and I joked with Mark Woodley the other day, we're from an age where like the freshmen were the big deal when they came onto campus. Now it's who'd you get in the transfer portal? Oh, by the way, there's some freshmen coming in. Are we sleeping? I mean, Ethan Harris comes with quite a resume. He's a 4-star kid. He's good.
Yeah, by the way, I should have mentioned Jaden Kuhn too, because he has been really good for them. And his athleticism is off the charts. And Isaiah Howard's made some strides too. So, you got Howie playing better. And those guys just get after it on the defensive end. And, Kuhn's athleticism is going to kind of make your eyes bug out a little bit with the way he can get up and down the floor and as bouncy as he is. So, just get ready for some Cohen Carr level dunks this year from Jaden Kuhn.
I got hey, real quick. Wheezy, did you hear that? Did you hear that, Wheezy? Wheezy likes athleticism. Wheezy likes he likes dunks, he likes athleticism. So I want to make sure we highlight that as well. With all that being said, and we're gonna let you get out of here. And I said this probably right after the season when they added the transfers. There's a lot of, you mentioned, Tom, just there, you mentioned probably 8 guys without mentioning Tate or Cale Combs and Cam Manyow.
Didn't mention Manyow. Didn't mention either of them.
Where does this all? I mean, that is. I don't want to ask you what it'll be because we don't know. But is that the fascinating thing with this team right now? Is how this all evolves and the pieces fall into place come next winter.
Yeah, and the big thing is that they had so many. Well, they had 6 guys who were comfortable doing what they needed to do last year, coming over from Drake. They had a lot of new pieces last year, and this year it's a lot of same guys, and in theory, they could run this whole team back another year. Think about that, because Cam and Cale could stay for the 5-for-5. So those guys hang around. You bring in Daugherty, and you bring in a point guard from Florida, maybe, who's pretty good, to go with all those guys coming back. Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's fascinating. It really is fascinating to think about. And okay, you're going to Carver Wednesday. What are you now? You've heard a lot of rumblings. Give me the top 3 things you might be looking out for on Wednesday when you get to Carver.
Hopefully Coop's back out there, because he did not practice the other day. So I want to see how Coop's playing. I'm really curious about McKeever, because I've not seen him yet. So I want to see him and Coleman and Harris. I want to see those guys, Kuhn too. I want to see how they're gelling as a team, because I think, again, they're going to miss Bennett. I mean, Bennett's he's a special talent, and he made up for a lot of deficiencies when they needed him at the right time. But I'm just really fascinated by this team to see how they develop, because I think they feel pretty good about the development that they have seen so far from this team as a unit. And this team's going to be fun to watch this year, I think.
Last one, not Iowa related, but I have to ask you. There's going to be a new athletic director in Ames. Jamie Pollard, last Friday, announces he'll be retiring next year on June 30th. What was the first thought that crossed your mind when that came about, when that news came about? Was it like, Cy-Hawk game be gone? Let's be done? What exactly goes through your mind when you hear about Jamie Pollard, announcing his soon-to-be retirement?
I didn't really have a ton of thoughts. Maybe my first thought was, is that the thing that makes TJ Otzelberger look around?
That's what Jeff Goodman tweeted that. That's one thing. Of course, Cyclone fans have really let him have it on social media. I saw. How dare you? But that's the kind of stuff I think of. But go ahead. Your early thoughts of Pollard.
Yeah, because he was, Jamie's the guy that hired TJ, and Jamie brought stability to that program, and he kept Matt Campbell for a lot longer than maybe a lot of people thought. And Otz is going to have some opportunities. So, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But it's just, that was my first thought, was does that kind of make Otz think twice about being in Ames? I don't know.
I know what your first thought was, and it was about a replacement, but we're not going to get into that. You're such a jerk, so we're not going to get into that. And you know who I'm talking about. Tommy, I appreciate it. We'll see. What time is it on Wednesday? I might not do a show on Wednesday to come up there. I'm really intrigued to see them practice.
I think it was 11:30 or so. There's football availability right before it.
Yeah. What is?
Too. Yeah, there's football. Football at 9:30, basketball at 11:30.
Gosh, I got to decide. Well, Friday I'm already out, and I'm on vacation after that, so I should probably do a show. But anyways, Tommy, appreciate it as always. We'll catch up with you soon. I'm glad you survived Vegas, and Vegas survived you. So, see you, buddy.
All right.
That is Tom Kakert right here and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Plenty of great stuff from an interesting time in Vegas. We didn't even talk to him about Bennett and Peyton and Josh Dix and those guys playing out there as well. So great stuff. Of course, check out the HawkeyeReport.com. Kyle's killing it as always. Dennis, Blair, Tanner, and of course Tommy as well. So we got a lot more to get to. You're watching OTA. It's a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back. For over 65 years, Lindquist Ford has proudly served the Quad Cities. and they're just getting started. Looking for a new ride? Check out a healthy mix of new and quality pre-owned vehicles ready for you. Need service? Skip the waiting room. With free pickup and delivery and mobile service, they come to you. No delays, no hassle. From routine maintenance to a full-service collision repair shop, it's fast, friendly, reliable, and always transparent. Lindquist Ford, serving the Quad Cities since 1959. Experience the difference today.
Hey, I'm the Crawford guy.
Ooh, do you guys always speak at the same time?
Sorry, guys. I'll go first. You know, if you need help with your heating or air conditioning,
or electrical,
or plumbing, Crawford Company can solve your problem.
But what about your problem?
What problem?
Do you not hear yourselves? Take it from me, the Crawford lady.
And me, the Crawford guy.
Crawford is the comfort company.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. A slow Monday, but a crazy Friday and a busy last week for Iowa State and Iowa State fans. Of course, on Friday came word in the morning time that Jamie Pollard would be retiring. He's going to retire. His last day in Ames will be June 30th of 2027. So a little less than 12 months, about 11 months left until there's going to be a new athletic director at Iowa State University. So to talk more about that, a busy Big 12 media days and much more is Bill Seals, from the Cyclone Report. Bill, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. I always appreciate going on with you, Matt. Usually it's a little closer to Cy-Hawk week, but maybe we'll run this one back here in a few months too. So
yes.
Always time for sure.
How crazy is it that, and we just mentioned you were at Big 12 Media Days last week. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of it in a second, but is it weird that football season's here, Bill, whether we like it or not, we're in the home stretch, it's coming fast.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, the Big 12 is the first of those four power conferences to go with the media days, and got that kicked off last week. And now I think it'll be a steady flow of what ACC, Big Ten, SEC here in the coming weeks. So yeah, it always you go down to Dallas, which I did last week, and it always gets you kind of going for football, into football mode and ready for the season.
Yeah, you're in football mode. You have the drive back from Dallas, and you're thinking football. And then you get back on Friday, and oh, by the way, Jamie Pollard's leaving, and he's retiring. I guess your first thought, your first reaction when that press release or when the news comes out on Friday morning, what's the first thing that goes through your mind?
Wow. That's the first word out of my mouth, really. I think everybody in the Iowa State fan base, in the media, probably knew this was coming at some point. I'm not the only one that's felt this way, but my thought was he would probably shepherd Cy-Town through and get that that entertainment district. They've already got the medical clinic. It's well underway and being built. So I thought that he would shepherd that through and retire once Cy-Town had opened. But, I just think that so much has changed around him, really, as far as the NIL, the rev share. And it just seems like everything, it's kicking the can down the road. Seems like they're never really solving any problems, but more problems are being created. So now, it's the government trying to get involved and hopefully solve this. But I don't know about that either. But I think just so many things around him changed that it probably sped up the process to where he was ready to retire and be done with it. He's an accountant at heart. That's his background. So, that's what he had when he got into the business of being an athletic director. So, and you see stories, it seems like every day, about the budget problems that these big schools are having after all of this. And I think that, that's another thing. It's been a constant struggle to balance the checkbook at Iowa State. They've done a pretty darn good job of doing it, though really, I think, all things considered. So, but just so much the ground underneath him. Everything shook or everything moved, and it was time for him, I think, to get out. And I still wouldn't be surprised though, Matt, if he maybe stays on as like a consultant type of person to see this Cytown thing through. He tweeted out was probably about hour ago this Monday morning that he was in a meeting with the new president, David Cook, and they traveled to take a look at a prototype type of hotel that would go into Cytown. So he and the president still very actively involved in Cytown, and they expect it's September 2nd was the date for a groundbreaking on that. So I think he's going to stay busy, especially with that, and until his time is done at the end of June in 2027.
You mentioned maybe reasons why college sports are changing so much. Is it as simple as, and I've seen everybody's had as an opinion, and that's what's been fun over the weekend of every side of it. But is it simply, college sports has changed so much that Jamie didn't want to continue to evolve with it, or was just tired of it? I mean, we saw, what was it? I'm going to mess it up, but a few months back, he was talking about, like kicking teams out or doing their own things when it came to, or have the Big Ten and SEC go do their own things. Just the frustration of everything that was it frustration, or did frustration speed up the process of probably something that was already coming?
I think so. That's just me kind of spitballing it here, Matt. I don't have any idea on the inner workings with what Jamie's thought process was, but yeah, I mean there's been signs of that every time he's spoken out publicly about it, whether it was a Cyclone tailgate tour. I did right when this thing got going with the paying the players and the rev share NIL, I did a one-on-one with Jamie, and you could tell there was a lot of frustration involved with the way this thing's going. And we're so far down the road now, you're not putting anything back in you're not putting anything back in the bag. It's never going to go back to the way it was when he took over this job in Iowa State in 2005. And that's just that's the reality. So yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say that there's been a lot of frustration about the way things are headed. Probably a lot of frustration in that it seems like they nationally trying to get this Save College Sports Act and something through through the government and have them fix the problems. It just seems like it's maybe a couple steps forward, a couple steps back, and they just never really get anywhere. So I think maybe there's some frustration where he's concerned and in how the problem's not really getting solved and just keep it kicking the can down the road. And here we are, July 13th, and the football season opener, about 7 weeks away. And, there's really not really been any progress. And the roster, the cost of the rosters keep going up. You see what everybody in the SEC and Big Ten are spending on their rosters. You see what Texas Tech spent. You look at the preseason all Big 12 teams, and you look at the recruiting classes right now in the Big 12, and it seems like all the top players at every position are Texas Tech commits. So a very expensive roster down there in Lubbock, and I think everything probably added up with Jamie, and he had enough.
Bill Seals joining us right now from the Cyclone Report on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Bill, you look at maybe the basketball side of things, and while there's frustrations, I think there's frustrations everywhere in sports and college sports. I don't want to put it all on football, but basketball wise, it's been great and what they're doing. But I think one of the things that was automatically done, I think Jeff Goodman did it on Friday. Tom Kakert just mentioned it in the last segment. Like, I think one of the first things that goes to people's mind when Jamie leaves is how does that affect a TJ Otzelberger? Your thoughts on those kind of, one, it is putting cart well ahead of horse when it comes to anybody leaving or TJ now not wanting to stay because Jamie's not there. I think it's way premature, but that does jump into a lot of experts' heads when it comes to those type. How does it affect, we think football right away, how does it affect everything else, including basketball?
Well, his buyout in this last, I believe in this last, this last extension that they did with TJ, the buyout is the same whether Jamie was the AD or whether they hired a new AD. It's still the same, I believe, $4 million, pretty low. It's a drop in the bucket if he were to ever go to a blue blood type of program like a Kentucky or everywhere he's been rumored. He was rumored North Carolina tried to get involved in that right around Iowa State opening in the NCAA tournament this year. So it's going to be a drop in the bucket for any of those type of programs that ever were to go after him. But I will say that he loves Iowa State. He's coached under 3 different head coaches before becoming the head coach himself in Ames. So, and we'll wait and see. I think early signs are that David Cook is going to be very friendly towards athletics. This isn't going to be a case of Iowa State, stepping back into the way things were in the, in the 80s and going backwards. This is a president that knows and values the importance of athletics. So I think that's going to be certainly a good thing to have leadership at that spot at the top, with David Cook coming on board from North Dakota State. So I think that's going to be a positive. And TJ, beyond just the normal things where he might get hamstrung on with like budget constraints or whatever in building a roster, the president and I believe the AD that he hires is not going to be a detriment to what TJ's built in Ames. And I would expect no problems with that going forward. And again, TJ loves being in Ames, and his wife played basketball under Coach Fenley. So we were just talking before we went on air, Matt, about the recruiting class that they built, and all signs he's going to want to stick around and coach those guys. He's built a great class.
Yeah, including North Scott standout Josiah Harrington is also heading to Iowa State as well. Bill, this is the $1 million question, or probably these days $1 million question. Who's next? You've had the weekend to find somebody, Bill. So who's not even who's next, but where do you start with that? I know the AD at North Dakota State might be tied with Cook when it comes to somebody he'd be familiar with. Where does this start? I know you don't have an answer right now, but like maybe some thoughts on the direction they go and also the timeline in which they go to it. Is this open? Like, would they like to get this thing figured out sooner than later so it's an easier transition, or maybe the timeline of when they find another AD?
Well, I think all signs are President Cook's going to take his time where this is concerned. There are some names out there. Certainly, you mentioned the North Dakota State AD, Matt Larson. He's been around there since 2014, since he took over, and would be very, Coach or President Cook would know exactly who Matt Larson is, what he brings to the table. I think he's done a great job there. They're stepping up in level of competition football wise, and we'll see kind of how that continues to play out for the Bison. And another name too. We'll stay with the Dakotas. Justin Sell at South Dakota State. He's another one. He's been there a while. All these changes at these Dakota State schools, South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and everything changing around them with the paying the players, the transfer portal. Well, I just mentioned Matt Larson. He's been a long timer there in Fargo. Justin Sell, he's been there since 2009. He would have been the AD who hired Jimmy Rogers. He would have been the AD who hired TJ Otzelberger to his first head coaching job there at SDSU. So that's kind of an intriguing name. If we're keeping a guy, I guess maybe you would say like not really in-house anymore. He's had a couple of jobs since working under Jamie. David Harris, he's a guy down at Tulane right now. He had gotten a job at UNI after Iowa State. He was one of Jamie's top confidants. during his time in Ames. I think that maybe that's another name that comes up as well. But other than that, I think that, again, David Cook's going to trust some of his sources on this. He's going to talk to several people and come up with the best candidate to move Iowa State forward into what's an ever-changing college athletics landscape.
Yeah, and who knows what it'll even look like when Jamie leaves. A year in college sports is like 10 years the way it used to be when it comes to the changes.
Right.
Bill Seals from the Cyclone Report. Before I let you go, you did go down to Dallas. I do want to talk a little football with you. This is one of the most intriguing seasons of Iowa State football, obviously, in a while. I think intriguing is the key word. There's been more exciting seasons when it comes to expectations and those type of things, but there's so many questions around it. What have you learned? And I guess what's your thought process going into this season and a new era of football for Iowa State?
Well, it really is a new era, and it just seemed like Iowa State got hit from all angles there in December, January with the coaching change, so many players leaving via the transfer portal, bringing in so many new players from the transfer portal, and really, of any of the seasons I've ever covered for Iowa State football, this is the one that I think me or anybody else in the media, well, fan base too, knows so little about this team, really. So many new starters on both sides of the ball. The preseason expectations pretty low. A lot of them are picking Iowa State 16th out of 16 teams in the Big 12. We talked to Coach Rogers about that down in Dallas, and I think that's going to be fuel for their fire going into this season, and how nobody's expecting this team to do anything. I do know I think this is going to be a good team on the defensive side of the ball. That seems to be Coach Rogers. Well, he played linebacker at SDSU. That's kind of his pedigree. He brought pretty much his entire defensive coaching staff with him from Wazoo. So those guys have been together. They recruited a lot of players to join them out of the portal from Wazoo. And I think it's going to start there. They were one of the top teams. Well, there were two teams in the Pac-12, but they were at that. I guess you could say maybe G6 level. They were defensively probably one of the top teams you see out there in that G6 level. They played three teams from the Power Four, hung with all three of those. I think that's kind of a source of maybe encouragement. They went down to Oxford, lost to Ole Miss by 3, were in that game. So all of that very encouraging. But again, we just really, until that season opener, we don't really know what we're going to get with this team. I think we think, again, defensively, it's going to be a good group. Offensively, they went out and got Jalen Rayner from Arkansas State. He was a quarterback that the Cyclones played against the past 2 seasons. Gave Iowa State's defense, which has been perennially a very good, solid unit, gave them a lot of fits down there in Jonesboro last year. Rayner did, and what he brings to the table. I think he's this summer. It sounds like we talked to Rogers about his development. Sounds like it was a slow start to the spring for him, but as that moved on and we've gotten into summer, I think things have really accelerated for him, and he's going to be a great leader on the offensive side of the ball. But again, new offensive line. Staying on that side of the ball, all 5 are going to be new starters there. We know, how long it took Iowa State to build an offensive line. They were headed in the right direction with Clanton, with Campbell, and then the coaching change. So it took them a while to build a unit there, and we'll see how they built one in one off season through the transfer portal. And this all indications are this is an offense that wants to run the ball under Tyler Roll. So that's where it's going to start, and we'll see if they've got the horses to do that just yet.
Bill, last question for you? What was the headline from Big 12 Media Day? You mentioned some of the predictions; those are always fun, and I mean, normally fun. 16-16 isn't fun for Iowa State right now, but what was the headline besides Iowa State? What did you pick up conference-wise that was the maybe overlying headline while you were down there in Dallas?
Well, I was down there for day one, which was Texas Tech's day, and that kind of seemed like when all all the headlines came out. Some reporters asked Commissioner Marx some pretty pointed questions, one in particular. And yeah, I mean, it seemed like we had some fireworks there right off the bat. Marx was the first one to speak to the media on that first day on Tuesday. So, we were off and rolling with that, and that thing really went viral after those exchanges. And then Texas Tech met with the media that day. So I think just the whole Brendan Sorsby thing and then the news of the letter of inquiry that went out to Cincinnati that week. And Sorsby obviously transferred to Texas Tech from Cincinnati. So I think just that and Texas Tech and Mark and just the fit in the conference overall, I think that was a big story because, I mean, I think as far as conference realignment goes, there's not really anywhere for the Red Raiders to go right now. And they've got the most resources of any school in the conference. They've got the most expensive football roster. And I think when you're the Big 12 and you're Mark, you want to see he's indicated this in the past. He wants to see one or two schools kind of become the creme de la creme and be those perennial college football playoff contenders every year. Well, Texas Tech is certainly becoming that. BYU is another that is in contention. So I think it makes sense for these two sides to make things work. And it was pretty contentious down there. It seemed like it was the opposite of a couple of sides wanting to make things work.
Love it. Bill, there's some really good and a lot of Cyclo fans here in the eastern part of the state. Obviously, the people watching this show in the central Iowa area, all over, but especially the ones here in the Quad Cities that are interested in the Cyclones and the Cyclones fans. Cyclone Report is where it's at. We talk with Tommy of the Hawkeye Report all the time. Tell people about Cyclone Report, how they can get all the latest news articles, all those type of things from you guys.
Yeah, it's the Iowa State site on the On3 network of team sites, and you can jump on board right now. I believe that the current promotion is $1 to join for a week, and then I believe it's a half off your annual subscription from there. So it's a heck of a deal. One thing I think a lot of folks don't realize about having an On3 subscription too, or if you were to get your Cyclone fan on the eastern side of the state, you want your Iowa State news. Well, you're also going to get your news from everywhere else too on that On3 on the On3 network. So you can keep up to date with Iowa. You can keep up to date on the other Big 12 schools. Your subscription to Cyclone Report, you can get on and read premium content from other sites and view the message board. So a lot of perks, I think, there. And as we get, we're into mid-July now, we're going to be into preseason mode, and it's a great way, I think, for folks to keep track on what's going on with Iowa State and Iowa State's opponents this football season. A good way to read up on them, and just so much value with that subscription. And Tom and I collaborate on a lot of stuff too, Tom Kakert. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Cyclone fans, get on board. CycloneReport.com. Check it out. Bill, make some time. Cy-Hawk Week. We'll be bugging you again real soon. I appreciate your time, my friend.
Looking forward to it, Matt. Have a good one.
Awesome. That is Bill Seals with the Cyclone Report talking a weird week, what it was for Iowa State. And Jamie Pollard, obviously still a year left of his tenure, and Cy-Town is a big thing that Bill mentioned as well. So we'll see where things settle as it's changing times in all of college sports, and nothing's changed, I think, more. No place has changed more maybe in the last year than what's been going on at Iowa State, and we'll see how that continues to develop. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss pre-arrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. It was another fun sports weekend, always something going on in the world of sports. A kind of a slower time of year right now, but as we mentioned on Friday we did like our pre-high school football preview, if you will, with the boys from the View from the West. High school football season is less than 6 weeks away. There's high school baseball going on the Iowa side of the river. Always something to talk about, and always something to talk about when you have John Marx join us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Happy Monday, my friend. How are you?
Thank you, Pally. I'm doing well. I actually bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and which usually doesn't happen much for Mondays for me.
Yeah, you know what? It is a Monday. It's a weird time of year because things are still busy. They're always busy, but the John Deere Classic's kind of in its books. High school football season, college football, the media days are all coming right around the corner, but it's that maybe little lull in the time of the world of sports. But over in Iowa, they're still playing baseball, which is interesting to me. I got a lot to talk to when it comes to some of the baseball on the Iowa side as well. But I want to start with something that we found out about last week. Brett Harris, a really good baseball player, Western Dubuque, had been committed to Ole Miss, following in his brother's footsteps since 8th grade. Now, if anybody doesn't know about Brett had a inoperable brain tumor since 2023. He's been dealing with it. Never missed a game of baseball in his high school career. Good, not like his stats went down or anything. Had a fantastic senior season. He was ready to go to Mississippi 6 weeks before he goes for Oxford. They say, hey, we got some bad news. Your scholarship's still not available. I guess your thoughts on that side of it before we talk about where Brett landed. I know most people realize he landed at the University of Iowa. Fantastic get for Iowa. But you know a little bit about recruiting, baseball side of things as well. It doesn't pass the smell test to me by any stretch of the imagination. Your thoughts?
That's you were perfect in your analogy and in the way you just phrased that, the smell test. The bottom line, if all the facts that have been presented are in order, it stinks, Matty. It's just a black for college baseball. Now, I played with his father, Scott, and everybody knows Calvin was phenomenal and a next level guy, and deservedly so. Was an elite high school player out of Western Dubuque. Great family. Love Scott Harris. This just goes to show that it is so dog eat dog, cutthroat at the college level, and you understand as well. We both have dealt with it. This is in A, poor taste. B, it shows, if this is true, Matt, if all the facts that have been presented are just this black and white, this is ridiculous. It's embarrassing. There's, what you do is you just move on, because the Harris family is such a class act. Starting with Dad, who I'm lucky enough that I get to know him. But you move on, you pick up the pieces, and it goes to show you how first rate of a human being and a great coach, because he's going to getting a great player that Coach Heller is at Iowa is. You just pick up the pieces and you run with. It's really sad, but a gift. You've got one of the best players, an elite player at all levels, and now the opportunity. It's again, Maddie. I hearken back to what you said, the smell test. And if this is legitimate, everything that went down, it stinks to high heaven.
Yeah, you look at it, and I think one thing you just pointed out that's important is Rick Heller didn't jump in and say, "Oh, I feel bad for this kid in Iowa.
Absolutely
Let's give him a
not."
scholarship. He was. I mean, this is a great get for the University of Iowa. This is one of the best players in the state of Iowa, going to the University of Iowa to play baseball. I think it's going to be a perfect fit and a great match, and I think probably Brett is, not want to say is more appreciative, but values what Iowa has done more than maybe what he was going to get from Mississippi. But with that being said, I've seen some Mississippi people on social media saying this happens all the time. Things are rescinded. And I know it's apples and oranges, but you look at the University of Iowa, Ava Jones got into a really bad car accident going to the University of Iowa. And that's a smaller sample size of those scholarships are probably more valued because there's not as many of them. And Lisa Bluter or Jan Jensen, whomever it was at that time, I think it was probably Lisa still, said
Lisa made the decision.
Yeah, hey, you still have a scholarship.
She's one of us.
Is that the difference? I mean, it's easy. It's different, apples and oranges a little bit with sports and those type of things, but it just shows that what's maybe going on at the University of Iowa is, I don't want to say better than, but boy, it just looks bad for Mississippi and their program to see a kid who I want to point out, Johnny. Yes, he missed some football. He missed some football, played this past season, but missed some football. He may have to head to Minnesota sometimes for some treatments and those type of things, but it's not like he's not able to play or is playing bad baseball. He hit over 4 something. I mean, this is still a good baseball player. What changed between knowing about this medical condition during his high school season and now 6 weeks away, and you're moving to Oxford, Mississippi? It's not like he's moving to paradise. It's Oxford, Mississippi, and he's 6 weeks away from going there, and you guys tell him thanks but no thanks. We're going to go in a different direction. It doesn't make much sense to me.
No. Now, to that, and I'll side note, the Grove on Saturday in Oxford is cool for football. Mississippi State, I hate that place. So, okay, got that out of the way. They just treated me like crap. Okay, let's go back to Iowa. And you and I get because we're Iowa apologists. Well, it starts with when you get to know people like Matt Weitzel, et cetera, in their SID department, who people you and I deal with quite a bit. Then you deal with Coach Ferentz, who's always been above reproach and just a quality human being. Whether you like Iowa or not, he's a class act. Coach Heller, bottom line, they don't make him in the game and as a person any better than Rick Heller. I cannot emphasize that enough. A class act, phenomenal coach, great baseball mind, has done things exceptionally well and always does the right thing. So here's an opportunity. Wrong on the Mississippi side. It's just, well, you think you're getting damaged goods? My goodness, his locomotor skills, somebody somewhere is doing something right medically. He's all right, couldn't play certain games in football, never missed a game in baseball, exceptional player, still over 400. Western Dubuque is good baseball. It's a class act and a good program. So here we go. Iowa sees an opportunity to get a legitimate star, and much to the way things of Midwest values. Sorry, you can call us hokey or tell us that we're nuts. Iowa steps in, does the right thing. Yes, back then when the basketball player with the accident, and which I believe killed a family member. Again, Lisa Bluter and Jan Jensen come to the forefront and say she's one of us. We'll honor this till the end of time. So we see that more often than other places because. Quite frankly, Maddie, it's not as cutthroat. It is cutthroat, but it's not as cutthroat because there's some compassion when it comes to people in the Midwest. I just think it's different, and this is really a black. If all the facts are in order, this is a black eye for Mississippi baseball and the way they do things. But it certainly is the way things are done with Coach Heller at Iowa.
Absolutely. John Marx joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. I want to stay in the state of Iowa. I want to switch from baseball real quick to golf because we had this guy named Zach Johnson come down, 50 years old. And he comes down to the John Deere Classic. He top tens, which isn't surprising. But I think at the time there was questions, and rightfully so, like, hey, you could be playing in a big event at the Champions Tour right now, and he came to the John Deere Classic. Comes here, plays great. Won at in Des Moines at the Principals earlier this summer
at Wakanda,
and then turns around and yesterday wins his first senior major and does it in thrilling fashion. It looks like it was a little farther or easier than it was, but he chipped in, I think, on 15 and on 18.
On 18, help. I saw.
Yeah, those help.
Yeah.
Zach's playing really good golf. He's the best golfer on the seniors tour, and in my opinion, he could still make hay, obviously, on the PGA Tour as well. John Deere Classic, different probably than maybe some other events because I think that really fits his eye and he plays well here. But just your thoughts on Zach Johnson still doing it at the age of 50.
Well, first, let's harken back. You don't need me to pat you on the back. That was your best work in a while
Appreciate you.
last week. So, okay, enough of that. Enough of the compliment stuff.
Yeah, please.
Is there, other than Jordan Spieth winning, with no disrespect to anybody, what was the one person, that one influence that when he stepped in and said, hey, I want to be part of your board, I want to be part of this, this is something I'm going to lend my name, that's, I use quotation marks because he's so unassuming and the most non-egotistical person when it comes to professional golf. What took the John Deere Classic to another level when he decided that he wanted to make it his signature event, other than Chris Gotterup saying it's my fifth major, God bless him, but other than Zach Johnson, and then he still competes. Yes, I know he understands the course, and yes, it's a hometown thing because Drake was only 3 hours away, and it's a perfect meld of a great talent who he still has to go out and win on the seniors tour. Just because he's a young 50 doesn't mean anything. But as you said, top tens at here. They don't make him any better when it comes to that. You know that. He got back to you. He got back to Tom Kakert after he won the British Open. What kind of guy does that? You know how.
To hang out with losers like us? Yeah, he's got.
I'm saying, though, but
yeah,
I'm sure he had 500 texts, and he always made it away. And you and I give Kakert crap, but you know what? They talk, and he doesn't forget where he comes. He brought the claret jug to an Iowa game. Like, I got to stand on the sideline and get my picture taken with that silly British Open trophy.
Yeah.
So he is a class act, above reproach. Just the guy. Again, it goes back to Illinois, Iowa, Midwest. I'm getting hokey here, Matty. But people do things a little different, and he is a class act, and I love being around him. He's entertaining. He takes himself serious on the golf course and chastises himself if he messes up, which I love. And he has a moment for everyone, and that's hard to do, as you know, in that world because there's people everywhere you turn. If you shoot 65, you love the world. You'll stay inside. Well, I've seen him do it when he shot 75.
Yeah,
and spent an hour before he got to his car in the parking lot. Yeah. So
no, absolutely,
it doesn't change. Same guy, and I love to have him.
Yeah, you look at Zach. I think during a time of the John Deere Classic where the date moved right in front of the British Open or the Open Championship, and I think two people, Zach and Jordan, both were ones that went over to played here, then went overseas and won and said, hey, this can be done, especially with the private jet and those type of things. I think that helped a ton. And then two, you're right, winning the Masters in 08, winning the Open Championship, and still always coming back here despite scheduling changes, scheduling difficulties, if you will, which really they're not. If you come here and play, it's a lot easier to get over to the Open back when it was the week before than it is actually to figure your own way over there. So I think those type of things in the grand picture and his relationship with John Deere, and it goes off the course as well. But for him to say this year, because he could have, and he was in, I think it's the Schwab Cup, is the Champions Tour Player of the Year, whatever it is. He could have easily gone and golfed well and continued to probably, almost pull away with that thing, and instead came here, played great here. I just thought it was cool that and you look at it, he's played 9 times on the he's got 9 top 10s and 3 championships or 3 wins on the senior tour.
Love it.
I'm not a bad little career. Hey, did you watch the fight, or did you hear about the fight on Saturday night? What was it, 3 seconds worth of Conor McGregor? Your thoughts on what happened there?
Okay. Bad knee, got hurt. Okay. Again, he got a payday. I've never been a Conor McGregor fan, ever.
Yeah.
At least Ronda Rousey fought when she came back. It wasn't. She took the fight to I can't remember her name. But again, I think he's all blither blather, and I thought he was going to lose either way. No, did I see it? No, because I wasn't going to. And I know Paramount Plus is a little cheaper than other. I was going to go to bed. I went and watched Regina high school baseball and was exhausted Saturday night, so I wasn't going to stay out. I'd rather sit on the hill in Iowa City and watch high school baseball than I would anything when it comes to Conor McGregor. Now, did you? You might have been in the hospital. Were you spending money to watch that thing?
I saw. No, I wasn't. My son Chase had his appendix out this weekend, so it was crazy because I wasn't going to get it there, and I saw on social media when it happened and kind of chuckled like, no way that really happened. It was funny. We're in the hospital, and NFL Network, we find it on the TV, and they're playing old games, and it just happened to be the 2023 season opener between the Chiefs and the Lions, in which the Lions went to Arrowhead and win. I looked at Chase. I said, well, we got something to watch for the next 3 hours. So we went to sleep to that as well.
Okay.
Is there something to be real quick? The every medical people, we were over at 7th Street in Moline. We were over in Bettendorf at the hospital there, and every amazing people here in the Quad Cities when it comes to healthcare.
Yes.
Can't say a bad thing about anything and any person. We had awesome treatment the entire time. But can we figure out a way to get some cushion on a couch in a hospital room? Like, it doesn't have to be like a park bench, does it? Like, we can make it a little cushionier, can't we?
Well, here's the thing, and as somebody who, my wife, when Jack was born, it was kind of hard in the birthing unit, and then again, for my wife slept a few years ago. I had an issue that I had to spend a couple of days. She slept like a trooper, but you know what? When you buy stuff in mass and you throw it helter skelter in a room, as long as it doesn't cost, for what medical costs are for an overnight stay, you think it might be a little more softer, but you can't. And I have to double up with you, Maddie. Healthcare in the Quad Cities, above reproach.
Yeah,
and everybody has a story. I know that, but I've always been treated with great respect and great care. So
everyone was great.
It could be a little softer.
Everyone was great, Johnny. I'll say this. And I don't know his last name, but Jay was the one who took my son into the surgery and took us down there and got it. Above and beyond. Like, he made Chase feel like he was king of the world and that he was there to make him feel better in any way, shape, or form. To a kid who's never had a surgery before that he can remember. He had something small when he was like little, but like nothing. He's now 12, and so for him to go through that, and again, he's completely fine. It's an appendix. It's not like they do them all the time, but for him to put him, Jay, if you're watching, you were awesome, and those type of things. Real fast before we let you go, baseball does start. Softball, baseball, not start, but big week for them. They punched their tickets to go to state this week. Yep. Here we are talking about football for the next school season, and we're still talking about baseball, softball, and them going to state. And you saw. I still go back and forth with it. Yes, there's some things I like about it, but there's also, some kids are a week away from 2 weeks away from moving to school, 3 weeks. I mean, it's different for me. Your thoughts on Iowa still being that state that does softball, baseball during the summer?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. But here's, and as somebody who coaches American Legion baseball, you're ruining that opportunity for the 16, 17, 18, and 19-year-old to play summer baseball, to bridge the gap between, if you're not going to the Northwoods Leagues or the Prospect League. Football has taken over all summer. We used to, as somebody who coached baseball, I used to complain that basketball was interfering, and it does. Because it does, and they don't care about it, and that angers. That's my issue. I'm not throwing basketball coaches under the bench. They have under the bus. They have to take care of themselves. Football is ridiculous, and Jackson's coaching high school football right now during the summer before he starts PT school, and their schedule is absolutely ridiculous. But you complain if that baseball player misses one of your football workouts because he's in the middle of playing maybe in Terre Haute or Danville or like the Rock Island Legion team in Minnesota the past weekend. The football coaches get upset. No, this is not football season yet. And again, you know how much I love Mike Morrissey. You know how much I love all the Welches of this world, Anthony Rome, etc. This is not football season yet, boys. It's still baseball. There used to be a time. Hey, look at the travel stuff with your sons, Matty. You guys are done by the 4th or 11th of July. Wrong. Should never be that way. You should play to August. We used to play till Labor Day.
Yeah.
So, again, you hit a nerve here. Back to the question about Iowa. I think it should be spring, but the IHSA in Iowa has done such a great job of positioning it. But as somebody who's lived it, if you're playing football at the next level, you're already gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you are. If you are next, that's why the All-Star games are hard with the Shrine games. If you are a next level football player, and I'm not saying the NAIA and Division III stuff, they leave in August. The other Division I guys are gone, and that's hard. And I think it puts pressure because there's some really, really good high school baseball players that would like to live that final season with their teams that have to pick up and leave.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I look at it. You mentioned basketball too. I mean, I get it. Every coach. That's why it's harder and harder to be, and people still have to be, but to be, you really have to balance. You have to balance multi-sports, and it's really, really hard because they're being pulled in a lot of different directions, and everyone wants, as long as coaches understand like the pecking order of things. But you're right. I think today's day and age, like, hey, football's what's next, so that's the priority during the summer. And it's almost like, wait a minute, I know baseball was during the spring, but baseball's kind of it's the boys of summer, for Christ's sake. I mean, they should have the opportunity to go outside and play. So we can tackle that we can solve that issue next time you're on, Johnny. Hey, I appreciate you. Enjoy your Monday. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Pally. Appreciate you.
That is John Marx joining me on Off There with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday. And yeah, a couple really good points. And it's cool to know that Johnny knows the Harris family, so kind of gives a little bit of the perspective of how good of people they are. So always a great chat with John Marx, especially on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. We got more to get to. You're watching OTA. It is a Monday right here. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West. the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
You from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. It's a Monday here in the Quad Cities, Monday, July 13th. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a busy Monday as expected here on OTA and just getting warmed up. It should be a fun week here as well. Dead middle of the summer, July 13th. I think we're probably over the halfway mark. Football's right around the corner. Kids going back to schools around the corner as well. But I want to kind of look at this week with you as well before we kind of wrap up today's show. We got fun shows planned Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week. Friday, no show. Next week, no shows. For our viewers in Central Iowa that watch on the WHO Plus streaming app, we'll have a few best of shows, but no shows next week. The Randazzos are going on vacation, so hopefully Chase is feeling up to it. I think he will be, and we should have a fun time. So busy shows this week. Don't forget no show Friday, no show next week, and then we hit the ground running when we get back. It's going to be nearly August once again. Things coming up in August. August 9th, we have our View from the West / OTA kickoff party at the Other Bar in Moline. We'll have a show on Sunday evening. We'll also have some of that on Monday morning with us here as well. But looking forward to that as well. We'll have more information of that coming up. If you missed our show, our segment with Greg and Mitch from View from the West on Friday, if you're a high school football fan in the state of Illinois, especially in our area right here, go check that out from Friday as well. Also, on August 14th is Iowa Football Media Day. The plan is, as of right now, to do Off the Air once again for the second straight year at Iowa Football Media Day. Excited about that. Last year could not have gone better. Knock on wood. That's not wood. Knock on wood. I don't even know if the desk is wood. I'm going to assume it is, that it goes well this year. So that's coming up August 14th. And yeah, we mentioned on Friday, we're now less than 6 weeks away from the start of high school football. College football, we had some talk of that today with Bill Seals from the Cyclone Report. So it is right around the corner, and we hit the ground running when we get back from vacation coming up after next week. So want to thank everyone for watching today's show. Want to thank our guests, Tom Kakert, with some great information from Vegas and being out there. Cayden Daughtry is a name that Iowa fans will be looking at, watching, and seeing if they can seal the deal and land that point guard, a top priority, I should say. I almost said a must-have, but a top priority for Ben McCullum and his staff. Also coming up on Wednesday will be another open media practice for basketball. So we'll have more on that on Thursday, I believe, when it comes to what we see. But great stuff from Tom Kakert this morning. If you missed it, if you're an Iowa fan, go back, check it out. A lot of great news and notes. Also, Bill Seals on the show from Cyclone Report, talking about Jamie Pollard leaving, and we don't know when he's coming back. We don't know who's replacing him, I should say. But we do know he's leaving June 30th of next year. So great insight from Bill on that as well. And then John Marx talking a whole bunch of everything here on a Monday on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Once again, thank you to our guests. Thank you to everyone who's watching the show. We appreciate you guys doing it each and every day. And again, thank you to the sponsors as well for letting us do with this goofy little show each and every weekday at 10 a.m. We'll see you guys back here for another edition of OTA coming up tomorrow.